and Bow by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. It is easy to stand in the pulpit or in the closet to kneel and say, God, do this. God, do that. Make the world better. Relieve the sorrows of man. For the sake of thy Son, oh, forgive all sin. Then, having planned out God's work, to feel our duty is done. It is easy to be religious this way, easy to pray. It is harder to stand on the highway or walk in the crowded mart and say, I am he, mine the world burden, mine the sorrows of men, mine the Christ work. To forgive my brother's sin, and then to live the Christ part and never to shirk. It is hard for you and me to be religious this way, day after day. But God is no longer in heaven. We drove him out with our prayers, drove him out with our sermons and creeds, and our endless plaints and despairs. He came down over the borders, and Christ, too, came along. They are looking the whole world over to see just what is wrong. God has grown weary of hearing his praises sung on earth, and Jesus is weary of hearing the story about his birth. And the way to win their favor, that is surer than any other, is to join in a song of brotherhood and praises of one another. No, God is no longer in heaven. He has come down on earth to see that nothing is wrong with the world he made. The wrong is in you and me. He meant the earth for a garden spot where mill and factory stand. Childhood he meant for growing time, but look at the toiling band. Woman was meant for mother and mate. Now look at the slaves of lust, and the good folks shake their heads and say, we must pray to God and trust. God has a billion books of our prayers unopened upon his shelves. For the things we are begging him to do, he wants us to do ourselves. Jehovah, Jesus, and each soul in space are one and undividable until we see God shining in each neighbor's face and find him in ourselves and hail him there. What use is prayer? Let us be still. How can we love the whole and not each part? How worship God and harbor in the heart hate of God's members? For all men are that. Too long our souls have sat like poor blind beggars at the door of God. He never made a beggar. We are kings. Let us rise up, for it is time we trod the mountain tops. Time that we did the things we have so long asked God to do. He waits for you. To look deep in your brother's eyes and see the God within. To hear you say, Lo, thou art he. Lo, thou art he. This is the only way to end all sin. The difficult one way. A prayer without a deed is an arrow without a bowstring. A deed without a prayer is a bowstring without an arrow. The heart of a man should be like a quiver full of arrows, and the hand of a man should be like a strong bow strung for action. The heart of a man should keep his arrows ever ascending, and the hand and the mind of a man should keep at a work unending.